should be fun!
Family don't end with blood.
I regret this already.
Hello? Not an idiot. See ya!
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Give him the bits! The bits! The bits!
The things I do for love.
I will never, ever turn my back on people who need me. Cartoons!
Where's George McFly? I don't understand one damn thing that's going on around here and why nobody can give me a simple, straight answer. The bruise in your head. I know how that happened. You told me the whole story.
This episode contains themes of race relations in the 50s, sexual assault, and the ethics of potentially having relations with your own mom in the past. Have fun?
Basic anatomy.
Welcome back.
Hello.
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 Welcome back to Why Should I Watch That?
Why should I watch that? Why should I watch that?
I didn't know we were doing this.
Why not? Why not?
Oh god, this is getting scary. They're sounding alike. This is scary.
Don't you know, Myra? We've always been a figment of your imagination. We are essentially the same.
We're just personified in different categories.
Well, guys, I just went insane. Thank you. See you. Good night.
Only just now.
Only just now, not the entire time we've existed.
Nope. You know. I'm Myra.
I'm Sam.
Ohayou gozaimasu. WSIWT tomoshimasu. Do desu ka? Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
I have not had enough caffeine for this tonight.
You have caffeine next to you.
I know, but
literally. Okay, but we gotta be careful because last week you had too much.
Yeah, last week I had way too much. Oh god.
That was a ride from start to finish, I will say.
It was fun though. It was a fun ride.
Wait, which night did I have to? Oh.
I think I'm at a good point right now. I'm just awake enough that I'm functional.
I worked too much today and I'm glad to just be conscious.
I'm on vacation.
We'll see how sassy I get because apparently I'm more sassy on the days I work.
Prove us wrong and we'll take it back.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was a difference.
I mean, it's not a bad difference. It's just a noted difference. As people who talk to you at least, I don't know, once a week, minimum.
I was much more than that.
Well, I give it a minimum. At the very least, we notice a pattern.
Yeah. And I think I've noticed that if I have too much caffeine, I go into psycho mood.
I'm having a hard time just vibing, so y'all tell me if I'm doing something dumb consistently.
I mean, we can notice when
Thanks,
you're
always good. I'm glad to know.
No, I mean, not that you're always doing something wrong. We'll always have your back.
It's too late. You already said what you said.
See,
I've already taken it to heart. Actually, I have a plane booked to take me away from here in 5 minutes. I gotta go.
Damn.
Look at what you did, Myra.
Look.
Now it's two nerds in a trench coat. Oof.
Shit.
And he's
Two
our
short
editor.
nerds.
Oh god, this show just got
Excuse
bad.
me, I am average height. Thank you very much.
You are both the same height, and you called Myra short earlier.
No,
I have right.
no.
An inch does not make a difference.
No, I am 5'3" and 3/4. Thank you very much.
Jay is 1 3/4 inches taller than me.
No, I'm not.
Sam.
I'm Jay's taller than I am, so that's wrong.
Sam is 1 3/4 inches taller.
5'10", fuck off.
You are not 5'10".
5'8", 5'10", something like that.
There's a big difference between 5'8" and 5'10".
Literally 2 inches. Alex, how tall are you? I'll crop this. Stand up.
God damn.
Because we're about the same height. We've always been about the same height.
Alex is
1 inch taller.
2 inches.
It looks like an inch.
Probably 5'9" and a half or 5'8". 5'8". Around 5'8", 5'10".
Hold on. I'd say 5'9".
That's
And I was going even numbers.
I'm 5'2" and not ashamed to say that I'm short.
You are short.
Look, my grandma's 4.
Just glared at Alex.
11.
We have a special guest in the studio, Alex.
She's vibing with us while we record.
Yep.
Dab.
Wait. Dab.
But yes.
We offer a lot of visual commentary on this podcast.
We hopefully will spark your imagination.
What the fuck is that?
Imagination.
I don't have that.
Do.
Oh my
Okay.
god, yes. So
we're off topic.
We are extremely off topic.
You know what? I think when you have too much caffeine, that happens more. Just kidding.
Extremely. So welcome back, and we are.
Did we even get to the topic?
No,
Nope.
deadass, we didn't. We just started
So-
talking.
So welcome back. That's the kind of mood we are tonight.
Okay.
So,
What are we talking about?
Back to the Future.
Caps lock.
Because
You don't even have a reason. Why do you have caps lock on?
if I told you it, I'd have to kill you.
Okay.
No.
It's your rule.
We're watching Back to the Future.
We already have.
Yeah, we watched
Back in time.
We saw it in the past. And we're here to talk about it.
It's
in the
apparent-
future.
In the future. Apparently, it's like playing in theaters.
it. Yeah, I think they're
Yeah.
doing because isn't it like its anniversary
Yeah,
or some shit
so-
like that?
Well, it was a while ago. I think. Well, no, you're right. I was thinking of something else.
You were thinking about the fact that in the
In
as
2015.
yeah, Back to the Future 2, Part 2, they went to 2015, which was
I'm still mad we don't have hoverboards. I'm just gonna say it.
technically we do.
No, they don't hover.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's well, we do.
Well, we don't have a
hoverboards.
fucking flying car.
We do.
Mad about that as well.
No, we have flying cars and we have hoverboards. They're just incapable of being mass produced because of the literal chemicals that are required to power them. You cannot get. Unfortunately, even in the year 2015, you cannot give a bunch of civilians plutonium and expect it to end well.
That's true.
And the shit is run on high explosives and big chemicals.
Yay!
Also, it's a whole new realm of fucking insurance. And that's... I think, honestly, some insurance companies were probably like,
Stop! Don't you fucking
Stop.
dare!
stop!
I give it a couple more, like 30, 40 more years.
Yeah, I
before
was
we
gonna
get
say
there.
probably by like 2050.
I'm not giving it a time because it's always wrong.
It's always wrong. That's fair. I mean, my dad
It's like the rapture. If you say when it's gonna happen, it definitely won't.
I just totally fucking listened to that episode on Morbid too.
What?
The Lori Vallows one?
The Lori... Oh.
Hey, I'm gonna.
No, it's okay. We're back.
Okay.
It was a touch.
Myra was gonna.
No, it's okay. I wasn't gonna let her.
Okay.
I get stopped.
Okay. So we're talking about Back to the Future. There is some tea to be drank and some shade to rest under, I guess. Tune in for more. But for now, we're talking about wibbly wobbly timey-wimey bullshit.
Yeah.
The flux capacitor is fluxing.
Correct. Shall we read the synopsis?
Yeah, definitely. I have it pulled up. Okay. There's like so many options. Oh no.
Are we going with the Google synopsis?
There's like 6 different entries depending on which version. It's fine. I've got it. Okay. Marty McFly's life is a dump. His father, George, is constantly bullied by his supervisor, Biff Tannen, and his mother, Lorraine, is an overweight alcoholic. One day, Marty gets a call from his scientist friend, Doc Emmett Brown, telling Marty to meet him at Twin Pines Mall at 1:15 a.m., where Doc unveils a time machine that runs off plutonium built into a DeLorean and demonstrates it to Marty. Marty accidentally activates the time machine, sending him back to 1955, where he accidentally gets in the way of his teenage parents' meeting. Marty must find a way to convince Doc that he is from the future, reunite his parents, and ultimately get back to the future. That is a synopsis for a movie titled Back to the Future.
She wasn't that overweight in the
I
movie.
know. That's when I was shocked.
They're like overweight. I was like, she's just a mom.
Yeah, but like, okay, if you think about it, in like, what fucking year is this set in?
80 something.
Yeah, in the 80s, that was when like soda was just hitting its like super high popularity in like everyone's like fridges and shit. America wasn't super obese then. So
Fair.
That's fair, but
yeah,
also
overweight had a different meaning then.
and most people were categorically underweight because most moms were eating half a grapefruit for breakfast, and that was considered healthy.
Yep. Also, we could start talking about the beauty standards of women in media, but that's something for later on in the episode. Sam.
Yeah.
So our general information. It was directed by Robert Zemeckis, produced by Bob Gale and Neil Canton, written by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. Oh, so that's cool. Same people who directed it wrote it. That's at least good for production quality. Starring Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Leah Thompson, and Crispin Glover. Music by Alan Silveresti. Sure, let's go with that. Cinematography by Dean Cundley.
We've talked about
Dean
the
Cundley.
names.
Listen,
We are adults.
We are adults.
We have licenses to prove it. The name's funny.
It was released by Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment. It premiered on July 3rd, 1985, and its total runtime is 116 minutes. It can be found currently streaming on Netflix if you have a subscription. Sorry, I couldn't breathe. No, you're good. More watch options, Google, please. You can also buy it or rent it on YouTube, iTunes, Vudu, Google Play, and Amazon, all for the same price of $3.99. Surprisingly enough, Amazon didn't jack up its prices.
Wow. Impressive.
I know.
Good job, Bezos. You did one thing.
Oh, so, it got, I don't know if we want to continue this, but it got a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics.
Oh.
I think it'd be fun to dive
Yeah.
in, but I think we should do it a little later again.
Yeah.
Like after the fun facts.
For sure. Okay. So yeah, that's the general information. We'll go into the
Reviews.
the reviews a little bit later. But Myra, if you would like to take the wheel.
Yay. So obviously this is got a couple of obvious little Easter eggs. When Marty goes back into the 50s, he references Darth Vader for Star Wars and Star Trek with the Vulcan salute.
He's also from Planet Vulcan.
He's also from Planet Vulcan, which is great. Also, the mixtape that he puts on his dad headphones, it says Edward Van Halen, which is actually Eddie Van Halen playing the may he rest in peace, playing the guitar. He also, in the Under the Sea thing, he plays the Michael J. Fox is actually playing the guitar for Johnny B. Good, and he actually does play that Van Halen solo, which is actually pretty cool. Before he travels back in time, the movie theater says American Orgy, I believe.
American Orgy.
So that was a film in the 80s.
Yep.
And you know the homeless guy that he calls Red? He was in the film.
Oh, of course he was.
So that was him, his homage to him. Another one is...
Hey man, I put you in my movie. You're a homeless guy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know.
I had to say it.
Another one is the in the opening scene, two things. One is you see a guy holding onto a clock. That is referencing, obviously, foreshadowing how the movie ends with the doc hanging off the clock. And then you see, is it MC 411? Hold on. Sorry.
You're fine. I can always cut that in.
CRM 111 or 114. I can't talk. That's a reference to the actual director Stanley Kirk, who also directed or filmed Doctor Strangelove.
Oh. Okay.
So that's a reference to him because in that film that's a major piece of. I don't know. I've never seen Doctor Strangelove, so I can't say anything.
Nor have I.
And then in the opening, you see Marty playing in the band, and they're playing Back to Love. I think that's what it's called. The song.
So. Maybe.
The song that he's playing is by Hugh Lockley. Hugh Lewis. Totally said that name wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. It's
I think you're Spanish
Power
brain.
of Love. It's Power of Love is the name of the song, and it's by Hugh Lewis and the News. So the band that's playing with Marty is the News.
Oh.
And the person that's telling him it's too loud is Hugh Lewis. So
I would love to do that. If I had like a band, I'd be like, fuck yes, I'll be in your movie.
And then, of course, they do play an homage to the original writer of Johnny Be Good, Chuck Berry, when Marvin Berry calls his cousin and goes, "Hey, Chuck, listen to this." And it's supposed to be Chuck Berry. He's calling to let him hear Johnny Be Good.
Yeah, I have some words about that.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
But another quick one that
Sorry.
shows that Marty changed time. The mall is called Twin Pines Mall, and then when he comes back, it's Lone Pines Mall.
Do you know why?
I know he did something, I can't remember.
Okay, so when he first goes back, I'm sorry. Is it okay if I say this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, when he first goes back into time, he shoots through the DeLorean, ends up in that dude's barn, and that is. Remember, Doc said that back in the day, all of that used to be farmland. So literally, he goes back in time, ends up in a barn, and the reason it was called Twin Pines was because those two pines were there, I guess, when they wrecked it. So, or like wrecked the barn to build the mall. So, since there was only one.
Lone Pines Mall. Another one from that scene, they're called Peabody Farm, and the son is Sherman. And it's a homage to... Yes, Sherman and Peabody.
Oh my god.
So, fun little facts.
That's great.
And the last one that I had is the film that they're showing in the movie theaters is, I can't remember the name of it, in the 50s. The main actor is Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
And then he makes the joke of, what, the actor Ronald Reagan is president? And who's vice president? I can't remember what he says about that.
He says a bunch of different actors and actresses for the whole shebang.
Skit, yeah.
So, can I say my bonus ones real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my bonus ones are specifically featuring the DeLorean, because ever since I saw this movie as a kid, I wanted a DeLorean. My first car, I wanted it to be a DeLorean. Everything, DeLorean. I didn't care about the specs. My dad was very upset about that. The specs are bad. It's not a good car.
No, it's not.
Actually, it's such not a good car that the company shut down a couple years after making them because they spent so much money on what was inside, it cost too much to buy. So the DeLorean factory closed on October 19th, 1982, and the same day, the guy who invented the car was arrested in a cocaine trafficking bust. He had been set up by his neighbor, who was an FBI informant.
Did you know that he also worked for Ford?
Yes. Let me get there. So, okay, I have a thing about Ford. That's a thing. The So we all know Back to the Future is set in a DeLorean. However, it was supposed to be, it almost was a Ford Mustang. It's a lot of people were kind of weirded out when they said no, because a lot of, like, Back to the Future is known for its product placements. Can I get a Pepsi Zero?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Pepsi Zero, the Toyota.
But apparently
GMC.
Yeah.
Apparently someone on staff said, no, Doc Brown doesn't drive a fucking Mustang. And pushed so hard for the DeLorean that we got it. And the final fact about the DeLoreans, out of all of the ones that are in, that are still existing today, I can't find a number. Over 150 of them have been modded to look identical to the movie version. So, and that article was from 2015. So that's why I said over 150, because it said 150. It's been 5 years. There are more.
I'm sure.
So I'm assuming since the company shut down, they can't have too many out there.
No.
So the fact that a good number of them are literal Back to the Future DeLoreans.
I love that.
All right, and those are my car facts. Ba-da-ba.
Yeah.
No, but it's funny. My father talks about how his parents were like, "Oh my god, an actor for president? Who's gonna want that?" Of course, my grandparents are not the best of people. But that was a real discussion of why is there an actor who's president? Why is he running? What?
I think it was Jimmy Kimmel did like a what's it called?
A skit?
A skit with the two guys from Back to the Future in 2015, like during the year that
anniversary.
the year that they were supposed to come to 2015, they did a skit and they were like, "Well, who's the president?" And he goes, Donald Trump, and they both go, "You think we're stupid, don't you?" Bullshit. They start listing off the things that he's known for outside of presidency. They're like, can't be. No. Incorrect. What do you take us for, fools?
And it's like, no, look at my small computer.
There was a whole thing about that. Doc was like, "You must do so much quantum math with this thing." And he goes, "Actually, we normally just sit on the toilet and look at funny videos. Sometimes send, emojis to each other. Eggplants, And Doc was like, "What the fuck? Why are you sending eggplants?" Okay, so
do we want to go into, what are we calling this segment, I guess?
Reviews.
We need a catchy thing.
We need something with a little spice.
Are you right or wrong?
Are you right? Ooh, are you right or wrong?
Or
Is it poppin' or rotten?
Ooh. I like that. Poppin' or rotten?
So we are using the website Rotten Tomatoes. Where the fuck did the reviews go?
We lost them.
See score details. There we go. Oh.
Incorrect.
You are correct, sir.
3 people think it's bad.
3 people are wrong.
For the record, it is certified fresh. 96% tomato meter.
For the record.
But the audience also agrees with a 94%.
It's really rare, I think, to see the professionals, the professionals in the audience agreeing on something, and for them to be so close, that's impressive.
Yes.
That's the critic reviews.
Yeah, I know.
Fuck them.
They don't know what they're talking about.
Maybe they do, because they're just higher than the audiences. I don't fucking know.
We're just gonna ignore them.
Alright, so
we're going to the audience reviews, because critics are mostly old white men.
Spanish.
It's in Spanish. We have a translator. Un film decimante, suggestivo, interesante, y conveniente.
That's French, by the way.
Yo no habla francés.
It's a film.
I'm sorry. Jay took one look at the screen and went, "Ooh, it's Spanish." It's It's hella French.
It's not. It doesn't have any little dingle hoppers or anything.
I'm screenshotting
Wait,
this. Hold on.
What the fuck is that? What the
A
fuck
monster. This was 13 hours ago from the time of recording. So, Melody Z thinks, why am I the only person in the world who thinks this movie is weird, silly, childish, and pointless? He dates his mom for crying out loud, period. Whatever, period.
Okay,
He doesn't
Melody,
date
he
his
doesn't.
mom.
He doesn't, though.
He runs to run away. His mom is sexually attracted to him. That's the difference.
I will say he does make the vague threat that he's going to fake molest his mom to make her angry.
Fake assault?
Yeah, and you can't quote unquote fake assault someone. If you're assaulting someone, you're assaulting someone.
Yeah, okay, the whole...
But like, he's not dating her.
He's not dating her.
I mean, we'll get into this in a bit, but like the whole plot hinges on
Him being stupid.
the son assaulting his mom as a teenager in her
No.
past.
No. The whole plan hinges on getting his dad to pretty much fork his mom.
No, the whole plot of the movie is literally based on the fact that the kid didn't listen to his mom not 24 hours prior say, you know, the only reason your dad and I got together is because your grandpa hit him with that car. That is the only thing.
Because dad and son are peeping toms.
Dad is.
Dad is.
That is weird.
That dude needed assistance.
He needed therapy, and
He still needs therapy.
Still
TV
needs-
fucking H.
Yeah.
Just because you're successful and have money doesn't mean you don't need therapy, dude. Okay, what else we got?
I expected this to feel dated, as a lot of 80s sci-fi movies do, and was happy to see that it really wasn't at all. I certainly see why it holds the position it does.
That's a long one.
Oh, I picked the wrong one.
Oh, and they talk about Rick and Morty.
Having watched this for the first time many years later, I loved the Rick and Morty vibes I got from it, even though obviously that show is based on the movie series. They go on, but positive review. That was 4 stars.
God, there's so many, and they're all 5 stars.
I'm just gonna.
The best
trilogy.
trilogy.
I wouldn't go that far.
I
The
wouldn't
third
go-
one,
hard disagree.
the third one has less rights than you would expect.
I can give you the first and second.
Yeah,
The
I liked the second one.
The second one was solid, for
Yes.
sure.
But the ending of the second one tells you everything that's going to happen in the third one.
Yeah.
Period. You don't need to see the third one.
I mean, but the second one isn't even really about their kids all that much.
I didn't expect it to be.
No, neither did I.
Like, it would have been if Doc had gone to the future by himself. But the fact that he brought Marty means that it's going to be focused on the
Marty.
adults.
I know, but like
And Biff.
at the end
Biff
of
is
the
always
movie,
there.
he's all like, "Oh, Marty, Jennifer, it's your kids."
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's...
Literally, the only reason he wanted Marty is because Marty looks exactly like his fucking son.
Yeah, that's
Oh, that's
it.
fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Although anybody asked why his daughter just does this.
I haven't seen the second one in so long.
I
couldn't
don't
tell you.
remember.
I saw it last week.
Any other good ones?
They played back to back. I couldn't help it.
Best movie of all time is stretching it. Michael J. Fox blew me away with his great acting as the teenage Marty McFly. Good casting, entertaining movie, incredible storyline. These are all from 2020, so I think these are all
The new kids finding it.
the new new kids finding it and quarantine watchers.
Yeah, but that one's from 2019 or 2019. It's still high. I feel like this is just good.
Classic.
Watch
movie
this shit right now.
from August 2019.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's.
Oh,
a
he
bad
even
film.
has a profile picture. Look at him.
Yeah, he's professional.
Bougie.
Nothing.
Yeah, these are. I'm not really seeing anything.
Hold on, go back one page. Never got to see this in theaters since I was 5 in 1985. Loved seeing it on the big screen. I guess they did another. The film industry got like real tired of their own shit the past year or two.
That's fair.
So they've just been like, what do we have in the bag? Can we just replay some shit that some other good people did because we're not good and don't know what we're doing?
That's true.
We're in some growing pains for writing and production.
It's not writing pains. It's the old people need to fucking quit to make room for new people.
Potentially the best film of all time.
Probably.
Oh, probably.
This is what started the other conversation.
Some of these reviews are long. Jesus Christ.
Y'all got too many words for Back to the Future.
I thought it was a fun movie,
I
but
say
like...
on my podcast that we're talking about Back to the Future on. Alright, so, unfortunately, a lot of these reviews are way too positive to make fun of.
Yeah.
So, like, the only thing we could say is maybe you guys like Back to the Future a little too much.
That's not possible.
No.
Fuck off.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, some of the major themes are, is our future even our own? Who, like, self-identity, the impact we leave on the world.
Butterfly effect.
But yeah, butterfly effect. But mostly it's just a fun sci-fi film.
Yep.
I feel like a really big theme would also be responsibility.
Yes.
Yes.
Because that... Go ahead.
Sorry, hold on. I was just going to dump a few on the table so this way we wouldn't have to crinkle.
Can we
Appreciate
watch
you.
the little blips? Because I don't know if I'm talking loud enough or into the mic enough.
You should be fine.
I'm that
If you wanna see him,
dumbass.
that's totally chill. What was I saying?
Responsibility.
Yeah, because, like, that's the thing that the... Sorry. I fucked myself up. That's the thing that the series carries out from beginning to end, is responsibility for your own actions. Mm-hmm. Even in... And it's been a long time since I've seen the third one, so I'm not going to touch on it. But even in the second one, with the racing scene...
Right.
Just the fact that he recognized that he had a bad habit. He made the decision to change the action, and making that decision
Changed
his whole future.
That's actually the third one.
Is that where he does the racing? Well, you know what? Never
It's at
mind.
the end of the third one.
I've definitely seen the third one in recent memory.
Yeah, it's at the end of the
Obviously.
third one. They discuss it in the second one because the mom is like, if he was never in that racing accident, and then you actually see the race in the third one.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
And you know, that's the kind of continuity that I fucking love between movies.
For sure.
Like the plot, and we're not going to talk about all three because, you know, we're not here for that today. But
We're only here for the first one, but
but
they
I will
do connect.
Yeah, I will say the continuity between the three is so on point.
Right.
It's so good.
I feel like the themes flow better within the trilogy than the first solo film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. Okay. So, does anyone have preliminary thoughts?
Well,
I can't say like this was my first time seeing it because I've seen it
Oh no.
periodically.
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 You added an A in there. I know it's spelled that way, but we don't pronounce it.
I know. I was just
Shut the fuck up. I
Period.
can't say it.
Period. I Callie. Periodically.
Periodically.
There you go.
There we go.
Did it in one.
I can't do it again. Don't ask me to.
I won't.
Throughout my life, you know, I probably hadn't seen it in like maybe three or 4 years. So it was nice to rewatch it. I did accidentally watch the other two.
That's fine.
I'm such a bad person. But I do gotta admit, the continuity that flows between all three movies is very kept together.
Mm-hmm. Which is a good thing because the movies really only take place over like what, a day? In the main timeline.
Yeah, like literally the turnaround for these films is astronomical. The boy's not even home long enough to enjoy his
New truck.
straight boy truck.
Yeah. I literally he got all dreamy eyed about that fucking truck, and I was like, "Ah, you're that dude." God damn it.
Literally, that's what I thought, dude. I was like, really?
This movie for me, we grew up watching this. My parents were really strict about what sci-fi shit we could and couldn't watch, which ended really well for them. Let me tell you, it ended real well. But this was one of the first ones I was allowed to watch, and was really good. I don't know. It's always been a movie that I've liked. I don't have a bad thing to say about it, really.
So, is this your first nostalgia film that we've covered?
I guess, yeah. This is my first nostalgia film that we've really covered. This was the kind of shit that I vibed for, which is weird because as an adult, I'm not a big fan of sci-fi, but the sci-fi elements were so low.
Yeah,
They were kept to a minimum.
I think the only major like sci-fi thought was when
time travel.
the time travel.
And also, I really liked that they utilized the time travel in a way that makes sense for time travel. And what I mean by that is, it is not a tool that they use to better the plot. It is a tool that causes the errors in the plot that the protagonist must then repair.
Right.
It is not a tool to their help. It is a tool to their detriment.
Yeah, it's the inciting incident.
Yeah. And I really like that is a consistent... That's something they even touch on in the video game that I saw a review of that I didn't actually play.
There's a video game, by the way.
There's a video game, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's a theme that they really harp on in the video game where, like, they basically the entire game is going back in time to fix something, and in fixing that, you cause another issue. And it's literally a constant butterfly effect. Mm-hmm. And it's... Again, it's responsibility for your actions. Realizing that by making the conscious choice to do a thing, you're probably going to hurt something along the way, even if you don't mean to. No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I got.
I watched it some as a kid. You know, it was one of those things that got put on for, like, HBO or whatever. Back when HBO wasn't its own separate entity. But
Is HBO known its own thing?
it is now.
It used to not be.
It used to just be part of, like, the cable package. It used to just be like it was like its own. It was its own channel, but it wasn't like its own company.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird, and I'm leaving. Go ahead.
So yeah, I've seen it before. It was fun, but I it wasn't like I obsessed over it or anything.
I wouldn't say obsessed over it. Oh, Jay's eyes just went, nope, me, yes.
Myra, you don't do anything half-assed. You either fucking love it and watch it 99 times in a row,
Same.
or...
I mean, Back to the Future... Okay, there was one year I watched it almost like every day, but...
Look, there's something you need to understand. Just because we've been harping on some of Myra's comfort films doesn't mean that we do not vibe on the same frequency. Our comfort films are just different.
Yep.
No, I understand this.
I just want to make sure because you called her out for some shit. And it should have been every other person in the room.
Listen, I have my comfort films. We've only done one of them. And I'll get exposed later. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the schedule.
This one I didn't necessarily... I used to watch it a lot as a kid, but we never owned the DVD or anything, or the VHS. Mm-hmm. So every time it was on TV, I'd put that shit on. Every time. Whenever it came on cable, I was on that shit. Every time. Good shit. I think... I really like Doc.
I mean, Christopher Lloyd did an amazing job.
Yes, he did.
He did.
It was my introduction to him as an actor.
Mm-hmm. I think, okay, so this is a fun fact about Jay that we're going to get into real quick, and it doesn't have to stay in the podcast, it's just something I would like to say. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with science.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, looking back, this was a combination of Doc Martin and Jumba Jukiba from Lilo and Stitch. I was convinced that if I learned enough science, I could be like them. So my grandma literally came over to our house one day and went, hey, Jay is wanting to learn some science shit. And my mom was like, yeah, I guess, but like I don't really have anything to give them. And my grandma just went, cool, here's a bunch of college textbooks about biology. And my mom was like, what the fuck is an 11-year-old gonna do with them? And I popped up behind her and I went, I'll read them. And so I deadass read that shit. Did I retain any of it past puberty? No. But I read it. I had all of the books memorized at a point, and I was convinced that if I was given enough power, I could run my own lab, and I was wrong.
So what I'm hearing is that young Jay just wanted to be a morally ambiguous scientist with a lab and maybe accidentally create something that spurred radical adventures.
Ah, yes. Morally ambiguous.
Yeah.
Accidental.
Yep.
That was definitely the plan. My plan was definitely not to recreate Experiment 626 and rule the fucking world with him. And not make him good.
Well, you know.
I'm just saying.
So Jay wanted to be an evil scientist
Jay
when he
wanted to be an
grew
evil
up.
fucking scientist. That's all Jay wanted.
I gave you thumbs up.
Thanks. But no, the Doc Brown was my first introduction to that genre, and he's not even really evil. He's like Dr. Doofenshmirtz level evil.
Yeah.
He causes chaos on accident. He's like Dr. Doofenshmirtz, but opposite. He's still a scientist. He still invents things, but instead of doing it with the inherent intention to do bad and really doing nothing, he does it with the intention to do good, and still pretty much does nothing.
I mean, he does steal plutonium for
To make
a
weapons
terrorist
for terrorists.
group.
But
I
he
mean, yeah.
he really just steals the plutonium from a terrorist group, not to make the weapons for the terrorist group, but to use it for his own.
Well, from a government facility for the terrorist group and steals it from...
I guess my question is, why didn't he just, if he could already steal it, why get them involved?
No, I think they stole it from the government facility. He took it from them to make the weapons, and then
He gave them a bunch of scraps.
gave them a bunch of scraps, and he used it for his.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up the inevitable question that everyone should be asking. John Mulaney brought it up first. Or not first, but like most notably. Why the fuck isn't a nuclear scientist / astrophysicist / mechanical engineer?
Look, he's in the fucking book as just the phone book as just scientist. I think he just has too many degrees.
Okay, so why is this multi-degreed bastard best friends with a teenager who doesn't even seem all that interested in science?
Did you read the newspaper in the background?
Oh shit.
No?
He lost his entire family fortune because of his crazy science.
I have a theory.
So, no, but that doesn't explain why he's friends with a teenager.
I have a theory. So, my theory is, he used to be a professor at their school.
Okay.
He used to be tenured. But once he got on this crazy science warpath, we note multiple times throughout the series that Doc Brown has hit himself in the head. Mm-hmm. I think he was already an overeducated scientist, hit his head one too many times, got a little too smart from the extra brain juice, and went, wow, I could just spend all of my money and time inventing shit, fuck the school. Stopped showing up, got fired, made friends with this little freshman that was like, hey, your experiments are cool, I can, like, help if you want. And then when he quit, the kid was just like, I mean, do you still need extra help? Do you still need... Do you want some backup?
I'm here to vibe?
Yeah, I'm here to vibe. You're chill for an old dude.
My theory, because if you look up where he lives, you look how Marty enters the house and everything. I think as Marty gets in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
He's a troublemaker. We've
sure.
all seen this. I have a feeling he doesn't just get in trouble in school.
He's got a Ferris Bueller vibe.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wouldn't say
It's not that he gets in trouble, it's that his cockiness levels are at a degree that you would expect nothing but trouble, but in reality it's just
He's
vibe energy.
It's a Percy Jackson syndrome.
What I'm trying to say is he has this, even if he doesn't do anything bad, he somehow gets in trouble for it.
Yeah.
So Percy Jackson.
Yeah. We get it, you stand.
So what I'm trying to say is, what if he started off as, hey, community service, help the elderly. Doc Brown
That's a
is
good one, too.
elderly. Because he goes in and checks on him that morning.
Okay.
And he
That's
goes,
fucking valid.
That's valid,
And
but also the
then-
way
hold
he
on,
walks
hold
in...
on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
but after his community service is over, he just goes, can I just chill? You're cool as fuck.
You know why?
His home life is
no,
fucking shit.
I think I know why. He made him the amp.
Exactly.
That's right.
He made Marty the amp and went, hey man, listen, you can come over whenever the fuck you want to screw with this thing if you keep coming over and helping me with other shit. And Marty went,
Fucking bet, bitch.
Can we wait, can we mod it to be louder? And Doc went, you think it can be louder? I love it!
Because he even says, please don't touch the amp. I fucked up on something.
And Marty's like, yeah, I totally didn't come over here for the express purpose of fucking with the amp.
It's also already not too late. Also, a side note, Vsauce did a video about the series Back to the Future and tested on a crash test dummy what would happen if you actually got hit by a noise machine loud enough to knock you backwards. Not only would you have eventually crushed your skull by the backwards force, you also would have shaved off whatever bones were left by how fast you would have been shot backwards. And also would have gone through the drywall. So he should not have gotten back up.
So you're saying the cold open.
The cold open!
Marty should be dead.
Marty should be dead. I'm not saying it. Science is saying it.
Wow.
That's amazing. That is absolutely fantastic.
Like, full stop, the
done.
movie should have ended right there.
Back to the future.
Maybe. Ooh. I fucking hate this theory in every other context, but I've just made it, so we're just gonna spit it.
Say it.
What if the entire series, up until, like, after that point, the second he's blasted, every single point is just his dying breaths and what he's hallucinating as he dies?
I love it. I love it so much.
I fucking hate that thought process because it's a cop-out, but, like, in this specific scenario, he physically should be dead.
Yeah.
Back to the Future.
Okay, I'm done.
Dying fever dream.
Welcome to my fucked up brain where I really like this show and have thought about it too much.
Just saying. But that's why I'm saying he's friends with a teenager.
Yes.
Okay.
And honestly, I like the fact that, you see all this mess up that happens after he uses the time machine. But when he gets shot, when Doc gets shot, the way it looks like he already had the bulletproof vest on. So I think, in theory, it had happened before, but in a different sense. Marty hadn't fucked up as much.
Okay.
And then, of course, Marty fucks up. Because
He's so dumb in that scene. If he
In
had
just that scene, huh? Just that one scene. It's the
That
only
one?
time.
Specifically, he's extra dumb.
Okay, there you
'Cause
go.
There are literal terrorists. He knows that these are literal terrorists. They didn't see him. They didn't notice him. Had he just, stayed quiet, real quiet, shut the fuck up, crawled around the van so he wasn't, in line of sight anymore? No plot.
Okay,
no
see,
movie.
Now you can say he has Percy Jackson vibes. Now would be the time to say it. You can say it now.
He has Percy Jackson
There
vibes
you go.
because literally that's half the series. In case you haven't read the books,
We're not gonna jump into it. That's
Nope.
literally the whole
but that's
series.
literally
That's it.
don't open your mouth, Percy. Opens mouth. Fuck. There's plot.
Yep, there it is.
Yep.
Fixed it. Done. Okay.
But yes. Now, when he goes to the 50s.
Also, side note, before we jump straight into the 50s, can I just say, yes, he is pure of heart, dumb of ass. Yes, he got their attention. Could he not have just taken 2 seconds to grab the fucking plutonium that Doc had just told him was pertinent for this thing to work? Just grab one! Just one! Cancer is worth it! I know that plutonium is very dangerous. All you have to do is grab the thing. I don't care that he did. Wait, he still had the suit on. It doesn't matter. He still had the suit on.
Okay, so they make a big point of, keep your helmets on because it's not safe yet. And then what does Doc do? Opens the case, the lead-lined case, to expose them to more radiation
Without his helmet
without the
on.
helmets on.
Okay, so what you're saying is boomers are dumb and don't know how to medically treat themselves.
Yeah.
Medically protect themselves.
Would Doc be a boomer? I don't
That
think
took
he
place
would.
in the 50s and it's 2020.
Yeah, but he was old and gray at that point. Would it?
In the
Yeah.
80s.
So he would have been a boomer.
In the 80s, he was old and gray. He's been gray since he was like 5.
He's been gray for a long fucking time.
I'm just curious now.
He was also gray in the... Yeah, you're right. He was also gray in the 50s. He's just gray. He went gray early.
Because then he goes to the future and goes, don't worry, I rejuvenated myself. And he's still gray.
He still looks this. Maybe he just likes the gray.
I mean, it's not a bad look.
Or maybe they just didn't have another wig for him.
That's his hair.
Well,
that's his hair.
How old is Doc Brown?
my face is hot.
information from Futurepedia fandom.
He was born in 1931, my dude.
That wouldn't make him a boomer. That would make him part of the silent generation.
All right, bitch is quiet. He needs to be updated on that fact. Someone needs to tell him he's supposed to
Technically,
be
Marty's
quiet.
parents are boomers.
There
Technically,
you
Marty's
go.
parents are boomers. The reason they're called the silent generation is because they didn't really participate in politics or have any strong religious beliefs.
Fun fact of the evening: did you know that up until a little bit before World War II, we didn't really have culture? No, we didn't really have generations.
Yes.
I don't know why I said culture. I'm so sorry.
I was like, yes,
that was
we did.
incorrect. I am well
Sir.
aware. My brain went, hey, we should reconsider what just came out of the mouth. I don't know who cleared that, but
Yeah, that's just his hair. They teased it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was less bald then, but... Ooh, young him.
Ew.
He's got a nose.
he has a nose normally.
Yeah, but it's like...
Just keep him old. I prefer him old.
Who the fuck is that?
That's him!
No, to the left. Red background. To the left.
That's
Red
him.
background.
That's him.
That's Christopher Lloyd with color.
Dude, I forgot he
looks
wasn't...
like if House and that one dude who played the guy in Osmosis Jones, the human,
Oh.
he looks like if they just went. I don't like it.
I forgot he was in, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
He is not.
I forgot
Hold
too.
the
Yes, he
fuck
is.
up.
He's the bad guy.
You know, my mom let me watch that before she let me watch Jurassic Park.
That's fucking dark.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Shit.
It was animated, so it was safe. Oh, but anime is different.
Your mom is very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, my mom let me watch
He was
Dick
in
Tracy.
Dennis the Menace.
Was he?
Apparently.
Who was he in Dennis the Menace?
Dennis. Hey guys, welcome to the mid-roll. Just gonna pop in real quick to apologize. We had a little bit of technical difficulty last week with the recording, the actual audio quality, and then also it didn't post. So there's that. We are on our normal schedule though. I'm so sorry. Welcome to 2021. That was left in 2020, so there's that. I don't think we actually put out a hint this week, so unfortunately no one wins. But we will be putting out a hint for next week. Thank you to everyone who's been participating in the guessing games that we've been posting on our socials, and we hope to see more of you guys in 2021. We officially passed 100 listens on Anchor.fm. I think the day before New Year's of last year, so December 30th, December 31st. So thank you everyone for sticking around with us. We really appreciate it. We hope your 2021 is everything you hope it would be, and then a little extra on top. Have fun.
Blood in, blood out when I was little.
Switchblade Sam. Apparently, he was a villain.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Leah Thompson was also in that. Huh. Anyway,
I have a fun fact, if I'm allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of people, myself included, up until a day or two ago, always said that Rick and Morty was a direct spoof on Back to the Future. And a lot of people tie it to Back to the Future when they're looking at, time travel stuff and how it, links up versus, like other ways of traveling through space, because time travel and portal travel, which what they do in Rick and Morty, are similar to a point and can be theorized on a similar plane, depending on how you view time travel as a possible thing. However, Rick and Morty was actually, like, the characters, yes, they were ripped straight from it, okay?
Yeah.
Copy paste.
They were literally, Justin
Can I copy your
Roiland-
homework?
Yeah, basically, Justin Roiland went, he made a show that did not age well about the Cosbys. Or something like that. And, it was some popular sitcom family. And then someone was like, hey, you can't do that, that's our show. Copyright claim. And this was back before anyone had rights on the internet, so he had to take it down. And he made Rick and Doc and Maharty spelled very wrong.
Yes.
As like a fuck you. But then he loved them so much, he wanted to make their own show. So they are based directly off of Doc and Marty from the original series, but the actual plot is based on Doctor Who.
That
It's
tracks.
based, but the key difference is that it's a direct opposite take. Instead of being, I won't get too far into it, but it's a direct opposite. So a lot of people attribute their plot points to a lot of stuff about Back to the Future, but it's just
Doctor Who.
no aesthetics. It's just
Oh.
character design.
Yeah, because the main point of Doctor Who is wacky hijinks, and you try to leave the place better than you found it. Whereas in Rick and Morty, it's chaos incarnate.
It's optimism versus nihilism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a whole like deep dive that we could do into it, but I just wanted to make that fun fact because a lot of people directly attribute it to everything is mirrored to a
Right.
point, but it's actually just that one thing.
Neat.
Yeah.
Another fun fact: we recently had a huge jump in the mathematics, the theoretical mathematics. Sorry, for potentially creating wormholes and shit.
Yeah.
It's all theoretical, and we're still a very, very, very long way.
But you
from
know what?
actually-
You know what else is theoretical? What's at the core of the Earth?
I don't like
what
that.
what fucking matters?
But it was
you know what else is theoretical?
Oh.
How planes fly. We don't actually know. We have popular theories that are generally accepted as fact. We don't know.
But we have science that does it.
No, we have science that can theorize as correctly as possible, but we don't know.
But they do it.
Sure.
Planes fly.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They just don't know how. There is no solid proof as to how.
So it's the honeybee effect.
Basically, yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Um,
Welcome to Morty's Mind Blowers. I'm your host, Morty.
thanks, I hate it.
I have more.
No. But yeah, hypothetically, Star Trek 3030.
Fun. So back to the movie. Okay, so we were on the fact that Marty. I was about to call him Morty. Marty does not grab the plutonium. I think it's more of the fact that he's a dumbass.
I think he's so filled with fear and shock and adrenaline that you're not thinking clearly at that point.
That
Like,
too.
Marty just saw his best and only friend get shot.
That's not
That's
his only
not true.
fear.
Well, yeah, he has bandmates, I guess.
He has bandmates and a girlfriend. He's the opposite. He's posed as the opposite of his dad.
Yep.
So when the main director and writer, it was either the main director or writer. I can't remember.
They're
I mean, they're the same person.
Okay, cool. When the main director and writer was coming up with the plot of this movie, he didn't even necessarily seek out to do it. He was staying over at his parents' house and found a yearbook from his dad, and was looking through it to see, what his dad was like in high school. And he found out that they were complete opposites. Like when he was on the chess team, his dad was in like sports and stuff, and like all of these. He was in he was in the video team, and his dad was on debate team. Like, they were so complete opposites. He started wondering to himself, would I have even gotten along with my dad if we had met when we, like, in a similar timeline?
Probably not, yeah.
Yeah, we are so physically opposites. Would we have even been able to stand in the same room together? Mm-hmm. What would our relationship have been? So when he designed Marty and his dad, that was the goal, which is to make them as opposite as possible. So his dad is the one with no friends.
Yeah, his dad's the one with no friends. His dad doesn't stand up for himself. Like, they do have similarities in characters because...
I mean, yeah, you see that in the diner scene where they're, like, holding their head and, like...
Not just that, the fact that the scene that the dad goes, I write these stories, but I don't want people to see it because I can't take that kind of rejection. And
It's a direct parallel, yeah.
It's 3 scenes earlier.
I
Morty
can't take
says
that...
the same...
Marty.
I'm sorry, I've
Fucking
started something.
shit. Marty says the same shit to his girlfriend.
Jennifer, yeah. Another fun fact about the movie, they had to reshoot the majority of the first half of the movie. Because they had a different actor playing Marty. It was supposed to be Eric Schultz.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
But then he got booked for a different film and was like, okay, bye.
So, delving a little more into the actual movie, something that I really liked, I know I said this about, like, the entire franchise, but especially in the movie, like, you get, the name kind of spoils what you're getting into, but I really, really, really like how the writers did such a good job organically blending hints for the rest of the movie in at the beginning.
Yes.
Like, of course, your mom would wax poetic about how her and your dad met, and, like, such small little details of, like, you know...
You see Biff and his dad's relationship.
Yeah, you see these small things throughout the entire movie that, like, the watchtower, it seems like just a bit that they're doing at first. Like, you don't know how big of a deal it's going to be.
Yes. I do like when films have, like, they're like, here's our... It has a sprinkle of foreshadowing.
They did not waste a single background character.
No, they really didn't. No. Because, I mean, you even have the
mayor.
The mayor. Doesn't make that much of an appearance. But the fact that they have him... And honestly, that's something that I did want to touch on, because it makes a huge difference for it to be a black mayor in the 80s. Because... I mean, to this day, we're still seeing black people make such huge things.
Segregation was still happening in the North.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that in the 80s you had a black mayor was huge. And the fact that I like that they touched in different aspects of that segregation too. Because in the town, you really didn't see black people in the 50s. And if you did, you saw them doing the low maintenance work. But the fact that they had a black band playing in an all white school is also a big...
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Big deal.
I like that they had the bullies specifically not shy away from the inherent racism that would have been rampant in that time era. Like... You can signify those things without using, you know, trauma or the I forgot the letter, the N word. I tried to say the R word and that was not correct.
The racist word.
The racist word. Yeah, but that is valid though. You can do those you can tell those kinds of stories without using inherently negative stereotypes and just, like, you know, calling cards.
Right.
And I like, they did, I'm not sure how bad of a word it is, so I'm not going to say it, but they did use a slang term.
Yeah, a slur.
They did use a slur, but it was not the bad one.
It wasn't the N-word.
Yeah, thank you. I am bad at wording things today. It was not the N-word. I like that they had the bullies do it, because it put those kinds of people in an automatic negative light. Yes. They have been the antagonists throughout the entire movie, and it's only right that they should also be in the wrong here, too.
Right, and something like that would have definitely happened in the 50s. Because, I mean, you hear about those kind of stories, and as soon as it's no longer just one black guy sitting alone in his car, and it's, you know, the whole band. They're like, oh shit. And
I mean, I like the fact that they touched on the fact that in the 50s, this was an issue.
Yeah.
But you see I like how they
The door. Come on. You're good. We stopped for you.
continue.
I like how they also touched on how people have evolved and how we've progressed. We still have a lot of work to do, don't get me wrong, but it shows the progression that the society had done from the 50s to the 80s in having a black mayor.
Yeah, that, and I also liked how the school itself showed, like, inter-student relationships, because in the 80s we were just starting to get some of the early anti-bullying campaigns, and you literally see the principal ignore George getting physically beaten in the hallway, and he's all like, oh, you're a loser for getting beaten up. And I mean, that's just on terrible administration. Mental welfare of students in America, while not excellent even today, was so much worse in the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really... I mean, we don't see a lot of the interactions with Marty. Okay, yeah, I was saying the right name.
Jay started something.
Welcome to how I feel every episode.
Marty's...
I think the only reason I can differentiate between them is because I've known Marty longer.
That's fair.
If we were doing a Rick and Morty episode, I would be slipping.
We don't see a lot of his interactions with his other classmates, his, like, modern classmates, his 80s classmates.
You really don't.
We see him get the tardy slip. We see him kind of interact with his bandmates. Sort of. They play 30 seconds of a song, and then they don't... He doesn't talk to them at all. I feel like...
I feel like they were trying to cram a lot into that movie.
Yeah.
And I think if they were given a little more time, they would have been able to flesh out the connection. But I think especially back then, when, like, band culture was so, like, thriving, they would have had to at least hung out together to practice.
Yeah.
Right.
I do like seeing the differences between 1950s Hill Valley, is it called?
I think so.
And 1980s, because in the 1950s you see this little pristine, clean town, beautiful, not really segregated. You could see it. I mean, it had to be because it was the 50s. But then you go into the 80s, it's still a nice-ish...
Well, his neighborhood's super disgusting.
Yeah.
His neighborhood is not the best, but you do start seeing that desegregation. You see more desegregation,
blending.
more blending, and the fact that they managed to do that in the background to show you the difference between the years, it's very interesting to see.
It is possible to be conscious of race relations without shoving it down someone's throat, and I feel like this film did a really good job of representing that in a logical and easy to digest way.
Especially for a film that was made in the 80s.
Yeah.
Especially. That is not something that most people around that time, and maybe even today, would even really think of.
Yeah.
I mean, how many movies have you seen where it's literally an all-white background character cast? Like, even in the crowds.
Jumanji. We don't have to get back on that, but...
Yeah. No, but, like, I definitely agree this film took a lot of steps, and a lot of... This cast really took a lot of decisions that today still makes it relevant.
Yeah.
Because even though, you know, it's placed in the 80s, it still makes it relevant on the things that are happening.
Did you look into how much it made in the box office and stuff?
I didn't.
And how much the, because I would love to know how much they spent behind the scenes. Even though it's not necessarily an animated movie, they did do that. They did do that. Oh, you know what?
When they had those lightning.
Disappearing.
I think I saw a thing. I think this is more specific to Back to the Future too, because of all the futuristic stuff. But the series as a whole was like groundbreaking for all of movie making and animation.
Well, they had a lot of CGI with the
good or bad?
Oh, really good. So, holy shit, you guys. The budget was $19 million. Okay,
that's fair.
Pretty standard for a movie of the time. The box office was $388.8 million.
Jesus Christ, they did good. They did good.
They funded so many movies off of this one movie.
Who made it? What was the studio? Universal?
Universal.
Yeah, you know what? They used to have a ride.
Yes, they did.
I got to ride it. Land. Are you fucking kidding?
I got to ride it before they took it out.
So mad.
I think I wrote it at some point.
They took it out like in the early to mid 2000s.
I'm so angry
because I got to ride it in like 2005, I think.
We had moved up to Georgia by then. I didn't get to go anywhere.
Yeah. There was an old ride in Disney that was about like one of their old space films that was like really fucking scary.
Yeah.
And and the monster escapes and you have this whole sensation of it breathing down your neck and it's trying to kill you.
Yep.
I was real little and I came off that ride crying. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I'm 88% sure that they ripped it down and reskinned it as Lilo and Stitch the ride.
That's what they did.
And I didn't get to ride it either. I am a very bitter person for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only.
I was very little when I wrote it, and I came off the ride crying, and one of the cast members was like, "Oh, was that really scary for you?" And I looked up at them and went, and hid behind my mom's leg.
No, the Back to the Future, if I'm not mistaken, got replaced with the Transformer one.
Yeah.
The Transformer.
Yes!
The Transformer ride.
Transformer ride is solid. Not great.
Okay.
We're very off topic.
I mean, yeah, we're like vaguely off topic.
No, but a cool fact about my life, I got to be in one of those revamped DeLoreans in 2018. They had one of them at DragonCon, and you could get in it for like a $5 cost.
Why didn't you say anything? We were friends then.
Wasn't that the year that we went to fucking DragonCon together, or was that 2019?
No, that was 2019.
You got Southern. You got real Southern all of a sudden.
Y'all, I might have been born in California, but I was raised in the South.
Hello, I would like my friend back, please.
Dude, I say y'all all the time. What are you talking about?
We talk like this every fucking day.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
Sam, you know where we live, right? We just talk like this. Where are you going?
Sorry, I don't know where the Southern came out of. But no, we were friends. Actually it was 17, because this was the year you were still in college.
You know what? Yeah, because, wait.
We had just started hanging out.
You're right. I was trying to figure something else out. I was
thinking about relevant things.
I think the one thing that I wasn't a huge fan of after the time skip, and I say time skip, quote unquote, what I mean is when he comes back from being back in time. Mm-hmm. I'm calling that a time skip because everything changed and we got no context on what it changed, aside from the fact that we knew something had changed overnight.
The neighborhood's nicer.
Let me say my thing. Okay. I don't like that his parents still live in the exact same house, because one family doing better off is not going to fix the entire neighborhood.
That's fair.
If that neighborhood was known for being a little rundown, a little on the cheaper side, one family suddenly doing better than all of the others is not going to fix that whole street.
They changed it because the way it was promoted was it's going to be a really nice neighborhood with an HOA and
I get
all
that.
of these fancy things. So I think in the future, because the neighborhood builds off of the people who move into it.
Right, and what I'm saying is I don't think they ever would have moved in there, because let me rephrase. Let's say you are living in Atlanta and you're looking to move to a city. You can either move to Canton, you can either move to Marietta, or you can move to Smyrna. Okay? Canton, if you have a lot of money, Canton's off the table. It's Shitsville. They have some really big houses, but nothing else.
Yeah,
if you have money, you're not gonna move to Canton on purpose.
If anything, you'll move to Ball Ground.
Yeah, if anything. And that's still not Canton.
Or Dunwoody.
So out of the 3 options, Canton's off the table immediately.
Smyrna's off the table.
Yeah.
So Marietta would be your best bet.
So Marietta would be your best bet. Mm-hmm. My point is, if when they were looking for houses, the fact that if I have gone from income A to income B, and income B is higher, that means that everything that I could afford at income A, I don't want to live there anymore. I've got more money.
Right.
So if everyone who existed before them still moved into those houses, everyone who existed before them still made everyone who existed before them moved there because the housing was cheap, and that's why they moved there. That's why they were there to begin with.
Right.
The house would have not changed.
The house would have been owned by someone else. I think that would have been funnier too.
Right.
Well, I think if you actually notice, and I think they didn't touch on Doc's house, but the way that Doc reacts, first of all, the name of the mall changed. And again, that had to do with the accident. But also the way that Doc acts and everything like that. The town is cleaner. When he comes back, the town is cleaner than when he left.
Right, because...
Okay.
So I think it didn't just start his dad, like doing what he did with his dad standing up, I think did a chain reaction because...
It's the Biff rule.
It's the Biff rule.
Okay.
Because Biff at that time was literally controlling not everything. He couldn't...
In every idolation of this fucking franchise, and I'm saying that with a little bit of annoyance because it gets repetitive after a certain point, Biff, in some way, shape, or form, is always the bad guy. And I can see that. I agree. Him being in charge always ends in chaos or at least disarray. And I feel like this one landed in disarray. So that is very fair.
Yeah, because I think the way the neighborhood is set up, it's... Biff is this, I have money, so I'm going to knock everybody else down. In the original
timeline.
Mm-hmm. Then Biff gets knocked down, so it's not, I feel like it would be where the rest of the teenagers would see, okay, so you're not that tough. The skinny, fragile, nobody can think, everybody pushover can push you down. Everybody else can push you down, and we step up.
My one complaint about the future time, the new timeline, is when George, the dad, the package comes, and they go, "Oh, your first novel."
It's not his first novel.
It couldn't have been his first novel.
No.
Maybe his first. Well, now hold on. I will give it this. Maybe it's his first novel that he hasn't published under an author's name.
Maybe.
They could... I agree. They could have posed it in a way that made more narrative sense because he's so old and they're so comfortable in their lifestyle. It could not have been his first
But
one.
he has 3 almost grown children. Mm-hmm. There's no way.
No, and then if you look at this is ringing in the second movie because this is the only part that doesn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. In the second film, the dad dies in 1973.
Okay.
Right? But it says known author shot. Which means if his first book came out in 1985, how the fuck was he an author in 1973?
Well, now hold on. Was that in the alternate timeline that Evil Biff that Biff made? Because in that case, he got shot
because then when they fix the timeline, the newspaper says author receives award.
Yeah, so if his first book came out in the 80s and he got shot in the 70s, there's no way for him to have been a ghostwriter or to have his first book published in the...
The only hypothetical I could think is that he published an anthology of short stories, a short sci-fi...
It's still a book.
But it's not a novel.
But it's an author.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Because they say, "Oh, George, your first novel."
Okay. Maybe. There's...
Or he wrote, TV specials?
There's a myriad of ways they could have posed it. I would have appreciated more fleshing out for sure. Especially if it was going to be a running thing and they were going to bring it up again. For how continuity-focused the series is, it's weird for them to have kind of missed that.
Because, it feels weird.
I wonder if it was his first novel based on his experience. Because
maybe
if you look at the cover, it's technically
exact guy.
it's Marty.
I would love to know what he renamed everything. I would love to know if he noticed, like, Planet Vulcan, you made that, you stole that from TV. No, I did.
How could I have? No, but...
And no, his name was Darth Vader.
I need to do a little Googling.
It was old, dude.
When did
Star Wars came out in
Star Trek?
Star Trek was, I think, like,
It was
60s, yeah.
60s.
Oh, okay.
And then
Yeah.
I think the first Star Wars came out in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yes.
Yeah, so he would have known.
Right, you're right. But I knew Star Trek was earlier than Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I didn't.
It wasn't 50s, so he wouldn't have known immediately. But it's. I wonder what he renamed everything, because even at that point, it's a licensing issue.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like
Maybe that was the issue. He
That's
was
why
like, I made this book. It's about a real thing that happened. Dude, we know you're lying.
That's not real.
See, but what if he like misremembered it in like the fever dream panic of like getting woken up by Van Halen or whatever it was, and like
Edward Van Halen.
and just like seeing a dude in a radiation suit.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like like there's so many.
He could have, double. But like at the same time, if that happened to you, you would remember.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Like,
I was just trying to.
No, there's two ways that could have gone, and I would pose that he would have to remember verbatim because he wrote a book about it later.
That's fair.
He had to have been thinking about it. He got that suit down nigh perfect.
You're right. I was
No, you're good. I'm not attacking. I just.
hypothetical.
Yeah. But yeah, it's weird.
It's one of those little continuity issues that
Yeah.
we will never know what happened there. But
The world may never know.
with the 50s, I gotta admit, I thought they did a very good job representing the 50s.
Yeah.
That I know you didn't like the sexist feminine thing that they. No, you had a thought earlier about it, and now I feel like I'm.
I
wrong.
did not.
I don't like how they
Okay.
used sexual assault as a plot point.
Well,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. You know how like you can recognize that a character is flawed and bad and shouldn't be celebrated, but also like acknowledge that they stood for something. Kind of feel like it's not that I think that is a good way to have told the story. I don't like how often it was used as a plot point, because his mom was essentially victimized at least by her future husband.
Twice.
Yeah. No, I know. But like I'm saying, like you peeping Tom is not right, okay?
No.
And what happened with Biff was not right. But those kinds of things happened, and they were seen as normal for a long time.
And the fact that the movie
Even
very
acknowledged it.
blatantly said this is not, they used it
In the
to
same
the
way,
film's to the film's credit, they used it in a very negative connotation.
Yeah.
They were like, this is very clearly a bad thing that
Yeah.
people
in the
shouldn't
same ways,
do.
in the same way as the race topic from before, if they had to use it, I feel like they used it in an acceptable way.
They
It was the
did.
bad guy doing it. He had a punishment for it. I think it should have been more.
Oh no, definitely. I think
I just think it's weird how Marty, her son, his plan is to be like, oh, girls don't like it when you make moves on them, and they don't want moves to be
but
made.
you could tell he was very uncomfortable with the idea, but he also understood that this.
It's weird.
Okay, well, now I will say this one thing. If you were a teenage boy who got shat back into time, and your only chance of continuing to breathe was to get your dad to fuck your mom on that specific night, okay? If that was the only thing that was gonna keep your brain functional, you gotta pull out all the stops.
It's just I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying it's weird.
It is weird, but if you put yourself in his shoes, it is a logical jump. He's trying to think of the only way to get her to realize he's not a good guy, he's not looking out for the best for her, and he now has a way to set up his father as the hero. It is a logical next step, while a shitty one.
And not just that, you can tell his discomfort with the whole situation.
Right. I mean, Marty's like, I don't like this. I don't. The
level of not okay I am with this plan almost outweighs my ability to continue to breathe after it.
And honestly, it also, I think, if you think of it in another point of view, at least he's not trying to set up his mom to actually be with someone that would harm her. Because she could have been like, go with Biff. Because he knows Biff was up to no good.
Right.
If anything, the fact that Marty decided to come up with this plan, he also was looking out for her safety. Because putting her in that situation with any other person would not have made sure she was okay.
Yeah, because he like, if you think about it, he knows that his main goal in doing this is to get her with his dad. He has no other ulterior motives. He doesn't even want to be there. And I think when you watch that scene, the fact that he physically cannot make a move on her shows that he never could have carried that out to begin with. It was desperation. Right. But like the I lost my train of thought. Oh no, come back, please. I was going somewhere nice.
The way they executed that whole scene, I think, was done very tastefully. And I think it goes back to the whole parallels that we see in, like, the pre-time, post-timeline, and then after-timeline. Because Lorraine makes the comment of, like, Marty, I don't like that girl. Any girl who calls a boy is looking for trouble, or something like that.
However... And she also makes a stink about how the girl asked the boy out. But I would like to note that when she goes to find Marty to get him to go to the dance with her, she does not say, will you go to the dance with me? She says, I came here to see if you would ask me to the dance.
Right.
So, like, she's not incorrect. You have, in fact, twisted your words to pose it so that you are technically not the one asking the question. However, you did initiate the contact, which is basically asking the question.
Right, and she does call Marty later.
Yeah.
She's all like, oh, hello, Marty. I'm so in love with you. Hi.
I do not the straights are fucking weird, y'all. Are y'all okay? Do you need someone?
You need some milk.
She had that whole, what is it called, syndrome?
Nightingale?
Nightingale syndrome, yeah.
So she had the whole Nightingale syndrome the whole fucking time.
She's also super repressed.
In every way.
Yeah.
In every way.
It was, I don't know. That
Isn't he a dreamboat? Every 2 minutes.
I can't roll my eyes that hard again. Please don't ever do that again. That actually kind of hurt.
No, but, so I think it's very interesting to see the 50s in that aspect. I like how they played the 50s. They didn't just give you this romanticized 50s. They played the good, the bad, the ugly. They played everything.
Yeah, they did the racial tension in a way that it was light enough to maintain the tone of the film.
Mm-hmm. While still paying homage to the time period and the reality. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As well as the inherent sexism. I mean, look, there's a reason that a lot of the people in Congress and the Senate still think that women don't have reproductive rights. Like, they grew up in that time. They grew up in a time where, to them, women were just kind of there for them and nothing else.
Yep.
So, like, they did pay homage to that while still setting up a good narrative and allowing the aggressors to get what was coming to them.
Yeah.
One other complaint that I have is that there's the implication of during the band scene. They're like, "Oh, play us one more song," and it implies that a white guy wrote "Johnny Be Good."
No. I understand where you're coming from. Go ahead, finish your thought. I'll say the thing.
Which is a problem from the era, because a lot of the really famous songs that we know from the era and from very famous artists, I should have done more research. But
Elvis Presley did it to one of them.
Elvis Presley is,
Yes.
I think a few of his songs,
Yeah.
were stolen from black artists.
And now the one thing I will say, I see where you're coming from, and I would not argue the actual fact. However, I do think it's important to note that in the film, he does not take credit for it.
That's fair.
And to him, he is performing a song that he knows.
He says this is an oldie. And the fact that the film played homage to the actual creator. Because he picks up the phone and calls the actual creator. He goes, hey, it's your cousin, Marvin. Chuck, listen to this. And it's Chuck Berry.
Yeah, I think that specific inclusion was an attempt to be like, hey, that's not what we're trying to do.
Sure.
And I'm not gonna, I don't want to argue about it because I can totally see where that side comes from.
I just think it could have been done a little more tastefully. A little more...
It would have been nice if instead of having, like, they could have tweaked it a little bit so that he could have asked the main band guy if he knew this song. And he could have been like, actually, yeah, that's something really similar to what I've been working on. How do you know all of that? And then have him sing the vocals while Marty slams the guitar.
That couldn't have been done, though, because the whole aspect was that Chuck Berry, the original author, I think what they did, the way they did it, I understand where you're coming from. The whole implies that it was a white man writing it.
Right.
But the way that Marty introduces the song, I think is what saves it from that.
Yeah, I think all we're talking about right now is like how we could have tweaked it to be a little more leaning a little harder into it, I guess is what I mean.
Because the reason I say that you couldn't even have the main guitarist sing the song is because technically the song hadn't been written yet.
That's what I'm saying. He could have said he was working on it.
But it wasn't his. It was his cousin's who's on the other end.
Okay, so like...
No, that's what I'm saying. Get rid of that plot point.
Have Chuck be there.
Yeah.
Chuck Berry.
Yeah,
okay.
it's all semantics, really. Just make the main guy, and he hurt his hand so he can't play the guitar. But the second Marty gets on stage, he starts like explaining how to play this song. He's like blah 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 blah. And the second that guitar starts going, if we tweaked it this way, he will immediately go and kind of, shoo him off to the side when he starts to go to the mic, and then he can start singing it. Just be like, kind of eyeing him, like, how the fuck did you know this?
Yeah.
And so that entire scene where he where he's like, I think I found your new thing, could have gotten rid of all of that, and they could have just had a bit of a powwow while the rest of the band was going, and he's shredding the guitar. He could have just been like, how did you know this song? I haven't told anyone about this.
Okay.
Just as a very small tweak, but I can see both sides.
Right, I don't think they did it badly. I don't want to say that. I think for the 80s and because it's a very short little moment, and I'm pulling at hairs, or splitting hairs. I'm splitting hairs here, but hypothetically, in a more ideal world, I would have liked to see a little more heavy-handedness with the whole.
I guess the reason I'm thinking it up like a little bit different than you guys is because at this point, I think Chuck Berry was starting to get famous, so he wouldn't be playing a high school dance.
I mean, maybe, sure, but like it's a movie about time travel.
Also, we have touched on the fact that because of segregation and stuff, and the time period, it would have been plausible. It would have been plausible for them to have gotten a better known black band rather than
some random band.
It would have been more plausible for them to at least have a headline name of some kind. I don't know. That's I can see both sides.
Because, like, James Brown, when he was doing his come up and starting to get a little more notoriety, he was still playing, like, churches and dance halls and like
Yeah.
kind of common locations.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
yeah,
what
you're
you do.
definitely right.
I mean, yeah, that's what you have to do. That's
Yeah.
how you do it.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's something that
This is just,
Yeah, we have spoken on it.
yeah.
We have slightly tweaked opinions on it, which is valid, and we
I
don't
mean,
have to change our opinions.
I think
about
I see your point though. I see if it was done a little bit differently, it wouldn't feel like Marty was the one that inspired the song. Yes. And then Marty then goes into a whole Van Halen thing and they're like, what the fuck?
the fuck is you?
Who you is?
Who you be?
I like how at the very end his mom came up to him and was like, "That was very
Interesting music.
interesting music." The pause was so well placed and such a cut, and he just went, "Thanks." Like, I don't give two shits what shade you're throwing.
I know.
I feel great.
He's like, I played on stage in front of a whole group of people. Oh yeah.
And they didn't leave.
And they
Exactly.
didn't leave.
I mean, I thought it was
Oh
It was
no!
a good
It was
scene,
such
yes.
a good scene.
it was a good scene.
I really enjoy that scene. I'm not hating on it.
I'm
I'm just splitting
I'm still
hairs.
very impressed that I think the reason also movie wise they did it is because Michael J. Fox actually before getting the role was learning how to play Johnny Be Good.
Oh.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
I would have liked. Sorry. I would have liked to see a little bit more kind of confusion from the parents once he came back.
Because they would have recognized
They would have
him.
immediately, the second he puts on the fucking little poofy thing, they made such a point at the beginning of the movie to point out that it stood out in the 50s, that the second their kid came home with one, they would have been like,
That's just like that thing I saw.
and it's weird. You look just like him too, now that I'm thinking about it. I don't have a yearbook picture, but we both agree you look like him, and even Biff would be like, why does it look like I've punched your face before?
I've definitely fought with you before. Who
Hello?
you
Well,
is?
they're
Who
really-
you be?
the way the parents act after the whole thing, they act like Marty was never there.
Kind of. I feel like they act more like the way that he's acting doesn't fit in.
That was more of the vibe I got. They were like,
it's not that they acted like he wasn't there. It was more like you normally, it's like if you woke up every single morning, brushed your teeth, got a bowl of cereal, sat down and ate breakfast while listening to a podcast. If one morning you came upstairs still in your clothes from the night before, looking around all confused, touching the walls, looking at your family.
He said us like,
He's like, and then you just look at every member of your family and go, is that you? To some degree, they're all gonna treat you like a little bit of an alien. Like,
they're like, hey bud, you good? You had a crisis? Were you drinking? It's okay if you were, but like,
No, well, what I mean is like the parents, the way they sort of, because they talk about the history, they touch on their past, and the way they touch on that past, it sounds like Marty was never in the past.
okay, okay, hold on.
Like they remember it, but they don't remember.
Okay.
Oh, you know what it reminds me of? Oh, there's a fucking thing.
the butterfly effect.
No.
Oh, there's a fucking. Oh, I can't remember what it's. It's a fucking. Is it a show?
Can I say this while you think about
Yes.
it? Okay, so there is a time travel theory called the bootstrap theory. And the essential idea of it is that in order to... so you go into time travel, point A, you go back or forward, whatever you want, and then you come back in point B. And if you don't do anything to stop your point A self from going through it, you will create a time loop in which you constantly go through the motions of going back in time and never leave that loop. Your point A and B self will always be in constant circulation with one another, and you will technically never leave it while not really being aware of it, because you physically can't move past that point. However, the bootstrap theory is if you can stop yourself after completing the first loop, from making the second. You will free yourself, thus essentially making it like you never went to the past, but your effects stay. Because you're not constantly going back. It's a very confusing theory. I tried to read as much as I could on it. I am not
well versed.
Well, he never really
Official.
stopped himself from going.
That's what I'm saying. Rephrase. If maybe he didn't, but if Doc knew that this was a thing, and
Which he would,
and had put precautions in the car to
Junior, you're fucking terrifying. I'm sorry. I just see the door slowly opening.
I was on a roll.
I was about to yeet.
You can come in.
The cough drops.
There was something about bootstrap theory that I was saying, but a distraction
was
has
a
happened and now
fucking-
it's gone. I hope that you can put it together for yourself, whatever it was.
But there was something that I remember seeing that I can't remember where I saw it. I'm losing thought. I don't know if it was an anime or if it was a movie.
Okay. Is it relevant?
Yes, because the way
She
that
was trying to remember it earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the way it worked is the person traveled back in time. When they returned, even though they made changes to the past,
Was it erased?
they were erased. The parents forgot that they were there.
Oh. She might.
No, but I feel like that's definitely happened in media before. Like time travel shenanigans happen. You come back and your family doesn't know that
It was you.
that you existed, that you're part of the family anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would be willing to agree if that picture had loaded differently at the end.
Okay.
I also feel like it should have, because their
Yeah.
personalities were so different.
Also, like, allow me to pose this real quick. We're going to be getting into some genetics and reproductive facts for a moment. Just because your parents have gotten back on the proper track to potentially lead to your conception does not mean that it is guaranteed. Because the only reason that any of us are here is because we won the race of life. And there is literally nothing stopping another little dude from outswimming you at the very beginning and still erasing you.
Yeah. No, I think that obviously there was a lot of issues with that.
Yeah, I guess what I mean is there's a lot of assumption in that just by fixing this one thing, everything's okay. But the butterfly effect means a super small thing will fuck up a lot of things. And there is a small chance that just by being there and screwing stuff up a little bit, maybe his dad didn't go over to her house the day that, something was supposed to happen. It was actually the day later, thus leaving their older brother in a napkin.
Ew.
I said it was going to be kind of ew.
No,
I prefaced, but it's a valid fact. The fact that their entire relationship has been shaken from the core means that everything leading up is a little different.
Also,
and that's all it takes.
No, that's fair.
And like, if they were theoretically happy, they might have also had more kids.
Or less.
Yeah. So,
but that would have eliminated Marty, our main character, because he's the youngest. So
yeah,
they wouldn't have done that.
Or maybe they only had one way later.
Yeah, it
raises a lot of points.
Yes, it does.
And it also seems like they're coming in from the tennis court in their backyard.
I think they came in through the back door. I don't think they had a tennis court in the backyard.
Okay. It's still weird though.
No, I agree. It's not the most normal way to come into the house.
But again, the budget was also 19 million.
Yeah, that also explains why they didn't move house. I get it. I'm not like asking for the world. I understand why. It's just
some things just don't make sense.
Some things would have made more sense if done a different way.
Yeah.
All right. So, in closing conclusion, because I think we went super psychotic, off the rails, crazy.
I mean, speaking of super psychotic, crazy, off the rails, the fandom.
Oof.
If we're gonna be starting closing shit, the fandom was always feral, will always continue to be feral.
Yeah, the fandom's
and
feral.
has not cooled down from day zero.
Which is
And
terrifying.
Which is terrifying for such an old franchise, and also taking into the fact that one, coronavirus, we're all watching more stuff, especially like younger people who maybe have just kind of heard about it through pop culture. There were a lot of reviews on Rotten Tomatoes that we saw today that were from this year.
This month.
Yeah.
And they were all like 4.5 star, 5 star, 5 star, 5 star, 4.5 star.
Yeah.
Like, for it to have held up for so long, and to continue to not just be a cult classic, but a cultural icon, it is both at the same time. The fandom is well and thriving. There are still cosplayers to this day. There are tons of enthusiasts who are literally buying the DeLoreans to the point where they are worth more now than they have ever been, and that's including inflation.
Yeah.
Just for being duked out in all of the Back to the Future stuff. Those flux capacitors be fluxing.
The cosplayers to this day have not stopped.
Yeah,
Literally.
and the fact that on the day that they were supposed to come back to the future, back in 2015, they came out with the shoes that are supposed to self-lace. And granted, they were a limited release, but like the sheer fact that Nike took the time to
Make
painstakingly recreate a complete replica from TV, from top to bottom, to work identically the same. That is a lot of dedication. And I watched a short thing on it. They had been in the works since 2012.
Shit.
Yeah, but the issue was in 2012 the batteries were not small enough to fit in the shoe. So the shoes were operating on a wall circuit, or on a wall plug. So they literally had all the mechanics down, everything done. They were just waiting for batteries to get smaller.
And now they are.
Yeah. And they also, fun fact, have a version of the self-lacing shoes that are for retail that you can buy online that are not movie accurate, but they work the same way with the same technology. Neat.
Yeah.
And it's really cool for like disabilities and stuff.
No, they did a lot of what I thought was really cool is the fact that they, for the anniversary of the 2015, like, it was a huge thing. I remember everybody's like, "Oh, what are you doing that day?" Because it's the Back to the Future day. You might see Doc, and it was this...
I guess I was living under a rock because
I was working at Starbucks, and every fucking time someone came into my store, I was like, "Are you dressed up though? Are you dressed up though?"
Yeah.
I tried to get my manager to let us wear like Back to the Future themed stuff, and he was like, "Let me see if the district manager will let us do it," and she said no. So
why ask the district?
Fuck you, lady.
Yeah, why?
Because if we're out of dress code, he can get in trouble.
Yeah.
And with the store that I worked at, it was a very real possibility that she could have just come in for shits and giggles.
Oh, okay.
We were the only cafe store in district. That's a big deal.
Okay.
I think it was. I mean, to this day, this fandom is insane.
In a good way. Like,
yeah.
I will say this. Usually, in my trapezing of fandoms, I find a little bit of Rule 63 somewhere. Is that the right rule?
34?
I'm sorry. There's a lot of rules. What is Rule 63?
I don't know.
Well, it's not the rule I was thinking. I usually find a little bit of Rule 34 somewhere. And you know what? It's probably out there.
We're not finding it.
I didn't see it, though. And I didn't stumble across it.
Which is weird, because usually that's one of the... Not first things, but once you get to that point... For a media franchise that is so big, it is so weird to have not seen anything.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it.
For
fucking
sure.
Weird. But like... Yeah, I know, and we were talking about this earlier, like at DragonCon every year, there's a whole team that shows up. Did they also do the Mythbusters van?
They did it last year, I think.
Yeah, like pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So
2019.
They recreated the DeLorean as movie accurate, but they also had the hoverboard, the shoes,
Yes.
and that was I don't think they were the self-lacing ones. I think they were like fan made.
They were fan made. They had the jacket.
Mm-hmm.
They had inside the car. They had the almanac.
Oh, neat.
Yeah,
So-
they had every single thing, and I know I walked past it, because Joey and I went that year and we kind of, idled around. I know I walked past it.
I think I still have the picture.
I didn't go in it, but there was, every time I walked past them in the dealer's room, there was never not a small crowd.
Oh no, there was
if not a big crowd. Like there was always a
sizable
group there.
crowd.
Yeah, there was always a group there looking, watching, oohing and awing. There was never a shortage. Versus when they brought they also, I don't know if it was the same people. I keep saying they. Someone else had a mystery machine. And yes, it's also cool. It was also very accurate. They had a bunch of like cutouts and stuff. There was the same amount of detail put into it, but there was not ever the same size of crowd.
Right.
And they had a similar-ish run,
Right. Were they in a similar location?
Yeah, in the back. All of the prop shit goes in the back.
Sure.
Near the food trucks.
Yep.
Hi, I got a cons too much. Okay, that's all I have about the fandom. I mean, if you want to go check it out, I give this fandom, honestly, an A+.
They're so civil, too. Like,
they're so civil. Like, I really didn't find a single thing to, like, negate. It's, honestly, at this point, it's mostly nerds, and, like, good nerds. So, like, people who are scientifically looking at shit, people who are taking real-world science and applying it to the movies.
Yeah, they're trying to recreate the things in a real-life capacity.
Or cosplayers doing what they do. Prop artists doing what they do. I really didn't find an instance of the fandom being necessarily crazy or negative. It was really just...
No, I saw a lot of, like, Christmas edits of, like, oh, Back to the Future is a Christmas movie, aha. And I was like, I don't get it, but sure.
Do what you want, I guess.
You seem wholesome enough as far as fandom stuff goes.
I can't find the picture.
It's okay. Give me a second before we move on. I actually didn't look at one specific thing that might be important to look at.
Okay.
Hello, folks at home. I might have to eat my words. Give me a second. Okay, so I'm going to have to edit my words.
Oh, you went into AO3.
I have to! I forgot to do this part. I'm so sorry.
I don't go to AO3.
The most popular tagged ship for the franchise with 135 hits is exactly what you think it is. So don't go to AO3 unless you're into that. Well, they're not related, so it's not as weird.
Doc and
but like
Marty?
Yeah. They're not related, so it's not as weird as it could be. Yeah. Marty's a little young, but like, isn't he like almost 18? He has a license. Okay. 17 is
cringe.
It has its own issues, but it's not Rick X Morty bad.
Yeah, that's I know.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
We don't have to go there. It's fine.
Okay.
So
votes.
That is one thing to just keep in mind, I guess. In that case, I'm gonna have to bump the fandom score down to a B. Like, unfortunately, that is a no. I keep thinking that's his grandson. This is the part that I'm fucking up. I'm gonna bump it down to a B+.
I'm just going to bring this up again. We just established Marty is 17, yeah? Mm-hmm. In 1955, he's 71.
So B-.
That's...
Again, it could be weirder. I'm not saying that it's right, but I have seen worse in my travels. So it went down to full letter grade.
Yeah.
I was gonna give them an A+ because all I saw was creative shit.
Well, just B.
I'm B-. Unfortunately, you lost some points for being thirsty motherfuckers. So think about your actions.
Go to church.
So, besides the fandom,
yeah, it's not good. I scrolled to see B-, solid B-.
Okay.
Are we ranging into the C area?
Not yet. But I swear to God, if I see art, I will retroactively lower the score.
Okay.
I haven't seen art.
I'm scared, so I'm gonna just try to end it there.
That's
Jay.
fine. We're ending it. It's fine. I want to be thorough with my fandom shit, and I want to make sure that I'm telling the truth.
You scared Jay. Congratulations.
You mean you scared Myra?
No.
I'm not scared.
You sounded scared.
I'm scared.
Myra's scared.
I mean, I'm putting on a bit of a scared tone. I've seen worse. I've said that multiple times.
That's fair. You were in the Homestuck fandom.
That's not as bad.
Okay. Court is in session.
Yeah. The quote is in session.
Votes.
I would say sure. You looked at me.
No. That time I was looking at you.
Okay. I would say sure. Fun movie. Aged well. There weren't any like super period datey jokes. Like, oh, that's obviously a pop culture joke that you wouldn't get unless you were in the 80s kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Aged well for sci-fi, even though it's the only sci-fi thing is the mechanic that gets the plot going, but you know, fun.
I'm going to give this the yesest of yeses, 10 out of 10. It is a good movie that is timeless. Even if you're not a big fan of the rest of the movies in the franchise, which we'll get into. I feel like it's still a good kickoff point. It's a really good story all around. And even now, like 40 years later,
it was released in
80s. I think it was 85.
Was it 85?
Almost 40 years later.
I still have the Wikipedia page. 85.
Cool. Almost 40 years later. I can't do that math fast. I'm not smart. Almost 40 years later, like it still
35.
holds up. Thank you.
Almost 40. Yeah, you're right.
Sure.
5 more years and.
Well, did you count 21? Because in
this will be 21. So.
Literally a day and an hour. It's going to be 2021. So
okay, but that
this
math
is airing
mild.
in 21.
Yeah, this is airing in 2021. We are literally futuring right now.
Okay, but that's not from when the release date happened for a year.
Yeah, no, it's
It
gonna
happened
be
in summer.
Have we ever looked at the date of the month? Are you just not wanting to say 36?
Because it's a bad number.
Okay, whatever. I don't know why 36 is.
It just is.
Almost 40.
Anyway, almost 40 years later, it still holds up as a film in almost every way. It handles hard topics with ease. It touches on all of the stuff that you would expect as an educated person to be touched on in a movie that takes place in the 80s and goes back to the 50s. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Takes place in the 80s, goes back to 50s.
It's just a really good movie. Not much that I would change aside from what we've talked about here, and even then it's more nitpicky. Like, I feel like this episode was really nitpicky.
Yeah.
There wasn't really much to, like, actually... They did a good fucking job.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 for me. Absolutely yes.
I would say, yeah, definitely 10 out of 10. It's a film that, like you said, it's ageless. And, again, sorry, I'm looking at you. I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine. I'm just kind of zoning out now.
Okay. But no, it's definitely a film that was filmed correctly, that it lives up to its it lives up to the date. It's
not dated, yeah.
It doesn't feel dated. I mean, obviously certain little things, but that's because of the technology that they had at the time.
Sure.
But even for that, it's not bad.
I mean, yeah. Like, you look at the science, and even modern science, you can't go, no, that wouldn't work. Like,
yeah.
You look at MacGyver, which came out in the, I think, 80s? Maybe 70s, 80s?
I think it was 70s.
But you look at it now, and you're like, well, that's obviously a very 70s thing. Technology has advanced so far that, like, that's not plausible anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas
this,
I really couldn't poke a hole in any of the science.
No, because with the science that they had, even the little bit that they showed you for when they did 2015,
it was stuff that from that era could seem viable.
I mean, but some of that stuff we do have.
Yeah.
I mean, like the ordering your food via TV. Mm-hmm. I mean,
and like, you wouldn't say to someone, man, you rehydrate a pizza real well, as like a kind of, sassy kind of comment, but you would say, man, you microwaved that macaroni real good.
Yeah.
Like, you could make the same...
How do you burn macaroni in a microwave, dingus?
Yeah, literally. Like, there are very... And I'm sure they probably had microwaves, sooner rather than later. I don't know when they came out, but we went into a microwave tangent last week, and I don't want to edit it again.
I think they came out in They came out with the advent of nuclear technology, so 80s-ish.
Yeah, so,
I mean, they had the toaster oven.
Yeah, so I guess my point is, that we definitely have a lot of the creature comforts that they showed, and I feel like they really didn't have a way to fully understand how the internet would evolve. So thinking that you could basically FaceTime your boss and he would fax you 1,000,000 times isn't. And I'm sorry, that's from the sequel, but still, it's not a jump.
No, a lot of the things that they showed are still very viable.
Attainable. Yeah.
So yes, 10 out of 10. So with that being said, that's a yes from me.
That's a yes from me.
And that is a yes from me.
So 3 yeses. Go watch it.
Definitely.
Honestly, I was kind of cold in my review, but it's a good film. It's fun. Sit down
and enjoy
it.
We've had our snacks.
We've said our facts.
We told you if you should watch that.
Goodbye. Happy New Year. And see you next week. And go watch it. Damn it.
I thought you almost said keep it weird. I was about to beat you the fuck
Stay the fuck back or I'll laser you, goddammit! I'll laser every fucking one of you!